Hello and welcome to another episode of DeDubs Plays. We're just having a little look at the Old Town district we made a start on last week. We also finished off our ore industry area last week, and we made a start on the forestry area and the farming area. Of course, as I usually do, I will change the layouts of these areas once I've unlocked everything, so they're not going to look like this forever. And I notice all my lovely decorating has turned black again. I really do need to get some fire helicopters in the city. In fact, before we get into the plan for today's episode, I'm going to throw in the fire helicopters. Just temporarily pop them in there. And again, temporarily, I've put in the disaster response unit just over here as well. And that means I can finally fix these buildings in the park here. There we go, that's looking much nicer. I'm also going to very quickly throw in a few crematoriums around the area. Again, these are temporary locations, and I can figure out more permanent places to put them once we've got all of these cemeteries emptied and removed. Okay, let's get into the plan for today's episode. Now, last week I asked you guys what you would think of having a detailing heavy episode, and the response was overwhelmingly in favour, so that's what we're going to be doing today. I want to decorate the area along this side of the highway here. We'll fill out a load of trees along either side of the highway here as well. Now, there is a little bit of empty space here, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that at the moment. Pollution's quite high, so trees are not really going to be suitable, but we'll figure something out. And then there's this space between the two industrial parks. We'll have to figure out something to put in there as well. And whilst I'm doing that, I'll be keeping an eye on the industrial areas over here. They may well level up whilst we're working, and if that happens, then I'll pop in the new buildings. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan for today. Okay, so in this area we're a bit limited as to what we can put in, because trees will just die and they won't look very good. So I'm going to put a large rock on this side here. Well, I was going to put a large rock on this side here. I think I could get away with the overgrowth on the pavement there, but it doesn't look good on the road there. Okay, let me rethink. Okay, I'm going to try this one instead. And yeah, that's much better. Doesn't overlap the road and the path with that one. Then at this end, I'm going to pop in a couple of the smaller rock assets. Just like so. And then we'll pop in some of these smaller boulders around the edges as well. Okay, so I've been doing a little bit of experimenting, and it turns out that there's a couple of these content creator trees that don't look too bad in the polluted areas. So that's the generic pine. It's a bit thinner than it would normally appear. That's how it would normally appear, but it's not so thin that it looks terrible in the polluted area. Likewise, the ground cover, that one's a little bit thinner than it would normally be, but I think it still get away with it. The long grass, actually, especially over here, looks reasonably good, to be fair. I think we can probably get away with using some of these. So that's what I'm going to do. Pop some of that around here. I mean, there is a bit of a difference, and you can notice it, but yeah, it's not as significant as it is with some of the trees, which just look absolutely terrible when they're in the polluted areas. So yeah, we're going to pop some of this ground cover in where we can find spaces that it will actually allow us to place it. We're going to pop in a couple of the generic pines as well. So back here we can get away with putting in a few of the other trees, because the ground's not so polluted. That'll probably do. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Now we just need to do something similar in these areas. So a couple of the large rocks overlapping with a few of the smaller stones around the edges. like so. And then some of the long grass from the content creator trees pack. This is a little kind of rock garden feature that I put in quite regularly, and I think it doesn't look as good in the polluted area, but it's passable, it works. Yeah, we can get away with this. I haven't tried these. No, they look terrible. Yeah, normally I'd dot a few of these around as well, but they're not going to work very well. The little bush actually looks reasonably good. We can put some of those in. Yeah, it's quite tricky to work in the polluted areas, but I think we've got something here that's working. Yeah, it'll do. It'll do. And then we'll use some more of the pines just to finish the area off. I think I'll use some more of the clumps of grass and a couple more of these maybe. Yeah, it'll do, it'll do. I think just a handful of trees over in this area here will be what I'd expect to find here. We'll dot a few clumps of trees over here as well. A couple of clumps of little bushes. Now closer to the road over here, I think we can get away with the horse chestnuts. They will be a little thinner than they should be, but it should be less noticeable that far from the pollution. And over here I think we can even get away with sticking in a couple of my favourites, the live oaks. So yeah, over here my tree palette's been very much dictated by where the pollution lies, which is not normally how I would arrange my trees, but yes, needs must. Okay, so it doesn't look amazing, but with the pollution that we've got in the area, it's probably the best that I can do. The leaves still kind of disappear if I'm zoomed out, so yeah, kind of just have to put up with that, but it doesn't look too bad from a closer angle. But anyway, let's move on and figure out what we're going to do over here. Okay, so I think I'm going to pop in the heating build in here, which is completely unnecessary for our city. We don't need it at all, but it's a different industrial looking asset, which I think works quite well for the area. So we'll just plumb it in so that it doesn't give us that annoying symbol all the time. I've also very carefully painted a tiny little district over here and applied the European theme to it, and I've just zoned in a couple of lots there, so I'll run the game and see what we get. Okay, I think I'm happy with those buildings. We're going to add in a little bit of concrete, a few little bushes. Now I'll just add a few of these generic pines in here. We will get a little bit of pollution from these industrial buildings, so best to anticipate that and put the pines in. And then over here I think we should be able to get away with some of the other trees instead. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so this area is going to be mostly just decorating with trees. Put in some of the larger ones first, and as I've mentioned before, my favourites. I'm really fond of the live oak tree, and I tend to clump the trees in little groups. I kind of feel like that's how trees tend to grow in the real world. You tend to get a few trees of the same type together. I like to add the occasional cottonwood as well, just to give a little bit of height variation, although it's only giving me short ones at the moment. But yeah, you do get some that are taller. And then I'll mix in some of the base game trees, just for that colour variation and size variation as well. And then just to finish off, we'll put a couple of dots of the nice pink colour in there as well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I feel like we definitely need some rocks and things over here. I feel like that looks quite good. I think few boulders dotted around at the bottom, probably going to look quite good as well. And then some of these little small ones in here as well, if I can find spaces to fit them. Yeah, I feel like that looks pretty good. And then just occasional trees dotted around in this area as well, I think is just going to be the finishing touch that it needs. Yeah, I feel like that looks quite good. Yeah, and I think everything from the bottom of the screen here to the bottom of the screen here feels complete now. This feels like this area of the map is done. And I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so far we've done some pretty simple decorating, but I think we're going to have to step up our game if we're going to make this the focus of an episode. So let's come over to this area here, and I think we're going to want a little bit more fine detail in this area. I think we'll want to do something nice around the schools here, maybe put in a little custom play park. And we've got a nice big landmark at the back here, which is going to need some nice fancy decorations around it as well. And there's lots of spaces to fill in between the houses too, and I'm sure we can come up with some nice things to put in those spaces as well. I think I'm going to start over here at the cathedral. Now if we bring up the paths, there are a couple of nodes on the corners here that paths will connect to. Unfortunately they won't connect any further along, but I can connect them to the corners there. So I think I'm going to run a path from here to that node, and then do the same again on the other side. I think we want to go from about here so that the angles are pretty similar. Yeah, I think that looks good. I think I'm going to use some of these small flowering trees along the front here. I think that will help to make this area stand out as an area of importance. And we'll do the same on this side. Okay, looking good so far. Then I think we'll run a fence along behind the trees. I think I'll run some more of these blossom trees up along the side here. Same on this side. Then I'm going to go into the parks, and I'm going to take the park plaza. And I'm going to pop one of those on either side. There. And there. Now we're going to come around the back, and we're going to take some paths, and we're going to go from about here, and we're just going to make a very small circle. We'll go about 2 units by 2 units, just like so. Okay, I'm going to pull a path from here up to that guideline, and then in, and then we'll just connect those two like that. So then we'll take a path from here to just around about there, go probably at that angle and curve it in there. That looks like it's a fairly good match, and I just want to try and clean this up, so I'll redraw it with a curve. There we go. And I think I'll draw a little path out from about there to that node there. I think right in the middle of this area we'll pop a large fountain, and I think we'll use some of these benches. Just around the edges like that. I'll pop a street lamp in next to each of those as well. And then we'll put some nice big flowery bushes in the edges as well. There we go, I think that makes a nice little centrepiece for the gardens to the cathedral. I think some planters in along the back here would make sense. That'll make a nice touch. And we'll do the same on this side as well. And I'm starting off with the centre one so that I can get a nice even spacing between them. That looks good. There we go. I'm going to pop one of these signs in here. It just feels like something that makes sense there. And I feel like we need something else to fill out this bit of space here. So I think I'm going to go for the gazebo. And we're going to go with the green roof because it's a closer match to the roof of the cathedral. Yeah, that looks pretty much the same, yeah. And I think I'm going to put some of these rocks around the edge here. Tip that I got from watching Joy build cities. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Now we need to fill in with a few trees. And then we'll shift to these smaller trees, which match the ones that are around the back of the cathedral quite nicely. And that'll just help to make it feel a bit more cohesive, like it's part of the same build. I think this is looking good, but we need to do something along the sides of the paths here. Slightly. Pop a couple of trees in there. Stick another one there. Yeah, I think we're pretty much there. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with what we've come up with here. The idea was to make it feel like a bit of a centerpiece and make the gardens feel like nicely manicured public gardens. And yeah, I think we've achieved that. We've got the plazas either side, the brightly coloured trees which help make it stand out and set it apart, and yeah, I think the garden area came out quite nice as well. We've got this nice little centrepiece in the middle there, and lots of nice bushes and rocks to help give it that nicely manicured feel. I think I'm happy. Yeah, I think it looks good. Okay, so next up we've got these two schools here, and I think we can definitely do something to integrate them into the area better. So I think I'm going to start by running a path alongside the high school here. Then we'll fence off an area. Then we're going to go into our props and we're going to put in some of these nice little play park pieces. That appears in some of the gardens as well. I always thought it was a shame that they never included that as one of the props that you could put in. I don't think a park feels complete without a set of swings. But yeah, unfortunately we don't have a set of swings to work with, so we'll just put in the bits that we've got. There we go, we've got a couple of climbing frames, some slides, some seesaws and some roundabouts. I think we'll put in a few of these tables as well. Somewhere that the kids can go and eat their lunch on a sunny day. Put a couple of rows of those in, I think. And then we'll fill it out with a few bits of greenery and such. Couple of small trees as well. And there we go. It's not too extravagant. It's not too difficult to put together, but I think it adds a little something. Okay, so I've just thrown in a little bit of path there. Gonna put some fence around this school as well. And again, we're just going to add some benches out here. Somewhere so that the students can sit out and eat their lunch. And we'll finish it off with a few trees and bits of greenery. And yeah, well, for the most part we've kept it quite small scale trees and bushes. But we've put a nice little bit of variety in there. Got those benches out there for them to sit down and have their lunch, and yeah, I think it looks good. It's again, it's a fairly simple detailing, but it really adds something to the building. Worth taking the little bit of time it takes to just put these little bits of detail in, I think. So now we've got this park on the corner, and it looks good as it is, but we can just extend it ever so slightly and make it fit the space a little bit better. So we can take a path off there and bring it down to the road edge, and we can just add a short section of path there, like so. And then we're using the vanilla trees, so we'll just dot a few of these around. Some of these smaller ones in here as well. Finish it off with just a couple more of the larger ones. Yeah, I think that looks good. Awesome sauce. Just added a little row of bushes and some overgrowth in that little space there, just to make it look like it has purpose. And yeah, a couple of the wild hedges in around this park as well, just to give it a little extra something. I might actually pop a couple of flowers in here if I can as well. Put one there. Could squeeze one in there. And we'll pop just a few dotted around. And that just gives us a little splash of colour in there as well. Now this little space on the corner here is right next to the cathedral, so there's going to be lots of tourists around, and I feel like it's the ideal spot to put a grill or somewhere for tourists to eat. So we'll go into the city park menu and we'll take the plaza squares and we'll just pop a couple of those in like that. We'll go into our standard prop menu and we'll take the grill, pop it right at the back there. I feel like we definitely have a couple of street lamps, and there would definitely be a nearby bin as well, and then we'd have a few tables for customers to sit and eat. I think maybe a nice big tree over this side. I think over the back there a larger tree works quite nicely. I think we want something a little bit smaller for this space here though. Let's pop a bit of the long grass in with a couple of the rhododendrons next to it. And a smaller tree here as well, I think. Let's go with that. That looks good. So yeah, again, I'm quite happy with that. It's just a little touch, but these little touches all add up and they really do make a difference to the city in the long run. I want to bring a nice rose bush along the back of these houses here. Maybe we'll pop the pavilion prop in here. That could work well. pop it right there, and pop some more of the rhododendron in next to it. Maybe a little row of these along. We'll do a clump. We'll do a clump of these, and another couple just there, and then we'll do some of the small ones from here as well, just to give it a little bit of variety in the tree palette here. I don't want anything too big in this space because it's going to feel too crowded if there's too much in there, I think. So I'll pop in a couple more of the wild hedges as well, just to fill it out a bit. Pop one there. Maybe some of the long grass could go in here as well. And then this space, I think we can put a couple of the larger trees in. Pop an oak there. Nice big one right at the edge of the road. Couple of horse chestnuts. And I haven't used any splashes of colours in the tree palette for a while, so let's get a couple of these in as well. Just like that. There we go. I do like to add a little bit of colour here and there in the tree palette. It just helps to make the decoration stand out a bit, I think. Again, I think we can put in a couple of trees in this space. And I've tried to stay fairly consistent with the tree palette throughout. Unless, like with the cathedral, we're trying to make it stand out. Yeah, I try to keep fairly consistent with the tree palette, and then when you do want to make something stand out, it's a bit easier because it's the only place where the trees are different. Okay, so just been through with some more trees and yeah, filled that area out. I think that's looking good now. I'm just going to add a little custom plaza over here. I think we've got a nice space there. A couple of little stools like a newspaper stand. Let's pop that one in there with a clock next to it. I think that will be a... yeah, that's a nice little touch. And then we'll have the ice cream van parked up just there. And I'm thinking a couple of small fountains would be quite nice in here. So let's do that. Yeah, a couple of small fountains there. Maybe even some flower beds around the outside. Okay, I think that's looking nice. Now we need to add some seating. And I think I'll pop some of the amusement park benches in, couple with the trees in the middle, and then we'll put some of the other ones around the edges. And I'm quite impressed that it was actually fairly consistent with the colours that it gave me then. I'm looking at this space here and I'm thinking this could be an extension to a garden. So we'll use the wooden fence again. And we'll go up to, I think about there looks about right. I might do the same thing on this side actually. Let's go to about there. Yeah, that's good. So I'll go as props and I'll pop one of those in. A couple of little... let's do that. There we go. I think that looks good. And then I think we'll put a seesaw and a roundabout in this one. And just a couple of small trees in the garden there, I think. And maybe one from that as well. There we go. Okay, so I've been through and popped in a load of trees, did a small patch of the lower growth with the rhododendrons and the long grass that I like to do, and yeah, just mixed up the tree palette a bit, got a bit of variety of colour and shape in there. I think that's looking nice. Okay, so I need to figure out something to pop in here. I think we'll pop some small hedges along the side here. Maybe some long grass at the back. Yeah, that'll do. Pop some rhododendron along the side here, I think. I can squeeze one of these Japanese gardens in here, which yeah, I think I'm going to go with it. Pop some hedges down the side here. A couple of these over here as well. Okay, so I think this area is looking really nicely filled out now. We've got some lovely detailing touches in there. I'm not sure until I get to the edit how we're doing for time in terms of episode length at the moment, but I've got a feeling that we've probably got an episode's worth already. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fill this out, and I'm going to do that in a time lapse. But before we get to that, I'm going to give a shout out to this week's recommended creator. So those of you who have watched my channel before will know that every week I like to give a shout out to a content creator that I'm inspired by, and this week's selection is Shukaboa. Now, if you guys think that I can do a good job with Vanilla City Skylines, you ain't seen nothing yet. Shukaboa's 100% Vanilla Baby series just blew my mind. He absolutely stretches what's possible with Vanilla City Skylines to breaking point. I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked watching his most recent episode. So do go check him out. As usual, I will put the link in the description. And without further ado, let's jump into the time lapse. Okay, so it's feeling much more filled out along the sides of the highway now. We've got lots of trees in there. We've got some nice rock details as well. Little custom ones that I've made, and some of the ones that come with the game. I've also made these nice little decorative areas. Got a statue and some fountains there. Lots and lots of people using the footpaths as well, which is always nice to see. And yeah, there's a same again on the other side here. But yeah, we've definitely made some nice progress here. Not looking quite so nice up at this end. I had another fire whilst I was doing the decorating there. But yeah, we got a fair amount done today. There's still this district here, which I'll probably do in a time lapse in the next episode. But this area over here is feeling really nice and complete now. And we've definitely made a good start on the decorating over at this end as well. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to call it an episode here. Before I go, I want to say a quick apology. Last week I was under a lot of time pressure, and when I was putting in the finishing touches to the episode, I missed a key step, and I ended up with a like and subscribe animation that filled the entire screen. Do apologise for that. That was not intended. Don't forget to check out Shukaboa's channel. As I said earlier, I will link it in the description. And if you've enjoyed the episode, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button. And I will catch you in the next one.